Hey guys, it's Cayley. I am back with another what sold from last week video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my sales that happened last week on both eBay and Poshmark. I like doing these videos because I think it's a great way to keep track of what is selling basically in real time, which you could be looking for right now and listing. We're going to be going over high sell-through rates, some new bolos, and also some style-based sales. Let's dive in. All right, so we are going to be going over sales that happened last week, December 29th through January 4th. In total, I sold 149 items, and my sales are still hovering at about the same amount. However, they have gone up slightly, and I am super impressed once again with the average sale price. It kind of seems like it took a year to really reach that goal, which honestly, most reseller goals do sometimes take a year, especially when you're doing something as much as increasing your average sale price in total to such a high amount. And so my goal last year for 2024 was to increase my average sale price between all platforms to between $35 and $40. And look, we are at the higher tier of that now. So I'm really happy with that, and even though we are selling less items, our average sale price has gone up, which has always been the goal because I would much rather put in less work and see a better return. So I've got some goals for 2025 that I will be putting out a different video on and just sharing with you what our goals are for this year. However, I am super happy with the way things rounded out for 2024. So still, again, kind of slow. Sold 149 items for gross item sales of about $5,900. Average item sale price was close to $40, $39.67. I'm really, really proud of that number. That was a lot of work to get there. And like I said, a lot of time. On eBay, I sold 117 items for an average item sale price of $38. And then on Poshmark, once again, average item sale price was actually higher, which almost never happens, but for the past couple weeks has been happening. I think it's honestly because we've gotten back on track to consistently cross-posting over there. So we're having more frequent sales. So I only sold 32 items on Poshmark, but average item sale price of close to $46. Let's dive into these individual sales. This first one is by Frank and Elaine. I haven't showed this brand in a while. It is definitely one you want to keep your eye out for. Specific pieces have better ASPs, better sell-through rates, but in general, this brand as a whole does perform really well. And they generally have the style name there, so it makes it really easy to look up. This is kind of an oversized shirt jacket. I listed this one because it was such a substantial piece at $125, and it did sell for our full asking price. And this one did take several months to sell. Next up, this is a high retailing brand. I remember when this actually used to be like the biggest bolo there was. And I've actually come across several of these recently, but the sell-through rate on escandar has significantly dropped. Still retails for a ton. You still can sell some of the pieces for a lot, but I've just learned with some of these higher end brands that no longer have great sell-through rates that if I want to get them, I pay a very low cost for them, and then I make sure that I price mine much lower than everybody else. And I usually slap best offer on as well. Because if not, then I feel like the market is just so different than what people are listing them for that it's not going to sell. So most people would probably list the skirt somewhere between $200 and $400. I listed mine at $150 or best offer, and I am so super happy that we did that. This one ended up selling on an offer for $117, and this one only took a few months to sell, which is really good for escandar, which again is a pretty slow moving brand these days. If you come across a higher end brand like escandar and you're considering getting it, again, make sure you've got a low cost of goods and make sure you price accordingly for the sell-through rate, or else you're going to end up sitting on that thing forever. Next up, this was a really cool find. This was an orange tab Levi's, and it was vintage, and it had the 70s, 80s flared leg men's jeans, which is weird because you're looking at it and it's really hard to tell just how vintage it is. The orange tab was obviously a giveaway to me, but I got to do better about researching Levi's, dating the actual dates and knowing a little bit more about that. But With the little bit of knowledge that I do have, I know that vintage flared men's Levi's and also women's perform so well. So keep your eye out for them. Again, they like look almost like modern jeans too. You would pass right by them if you weren't paying attention. Listed these for $100 and they sold on an offer to watcher for $85. These ones did take several months to sell. This one was a super quick flip. Yeah, I sold this the exact same day that we listed it. I showed this in a thrift haul and you guys were going crazy over this. So I don't know if this went to a subscriber or if it was really just that good and it just sold immediately on eBay, but Vintage Eagle's Eye makes lots of novelty print sweaters, and I love vintage novelty print sweaters. There's not very many of them that don't perform well. This one definitely had a really cool it factor to it. It was Texas themed, Western themed, and it had this removable collar on it too, and it was just in incredible condition. I listed this one pretty high because it was so unique and had decent comps. For $95, it sold for my full asking price. Like I said, the exact same day that we listed it. If you guys come across anything vintage the Eagle's Eye, I would definitely at least look it up. I usually look up vintage Eagle's Eye sweater and then whatever the theme is. So I probably looked up Texas with this one or Western, but they make tons of stuff. Some of them go for more or less. And in general, these novelty print sweaters are always something that I'm looking at. All right, this next one is a cashmere piece. I pick up pretty much everything cashmere in good condition during fall and winter, but this one I actually had listed last year and it has sat and sat and sat. And so I don't remember what the price ended up being. I think it was like close to $20. And we actually ended this listing and Sell Similar reworked the title. We possibly even redid the picture because it definitely should have sold for more. Anything Cashmere Poncho is like almost always at least $40. And this one was a decent brand as well with pure Amici. Plus it was tie-dye. So we jacked the price back up after getting it relisted to $75 and it did sell for our full asking price just about a week after getting it relisted. If you have any stale items and you think they should have sold, it is definitely worth it to end them and do a Sell Similar and rework everything. Just kind of freshen the listing up. I don't recommend ending in Sell Similar if it hasn't been at least 90 days, but if it's older than that, it's definitely worth reworking. Okay, next up, this is a pair of Doc Martens, and I just wanted to show you guys these because I think we have this like image in our head of what Doc Martens are supposed to look like. You know, they're the combat boots or the chunky heels, but not always. And some of their more plain stuff like these Oxford shoes can also bring a really great ASP, so you want to be on the hunt for them. These pair of Oxford shoes also had a little bit of wear to them. I listed them for $60. They sold for our full asking price and they only took about 3 weeks to sell. Something else you want to be on the hunt for, and I pick these up all year round, are men's Pendleton wool shirts, especially if they have a style name on them. So this one had a little tag that said high grade Western wear. This is a men's wool plaid snap Western shirt. I listed this one for $65 pre-owned. It sold on an offer to watcher for $55, and this one only took about a week to sell. And like I said, if I find these in the summer when everyone else is leaving Pendleton behind, they can be really great pickups because even in the dead of summer, they'll sell for like $40. So slightly less, but out of season, still a pretty good ASP. Next up, this was a pretty awesome sale. I almost left this behind just because there weren't really comps for this item, but it appeared to be a Y2K style or possibly even actually Y2K dress. It was 100% silk. I've never heard of the brand Whistles London, but this silhouette in general is just so trendy. So it had the baby doll look, it had fluttered sleeves, it was longer length, and it had an asymmetric hem. Plus it was silk, there were butterflies, I think those might be cats. it had so many things going for it, like seriously everything going for it. So even without a whole lot of comps on the brand Whistles London, I went ahead and picked it up, and I priced high at $60. I also included the keyword milkmaid and cottagecore and fairy, which I think really helped to sell this as well. And it ended up selling for our full asking price. This one only took a month to sell, which is awesome for a style-based pickup. Next up, this is another one I trusted my gut on because comps were not great, or at least the sell-through rate wasn't great. It is a Lucky Brand men's Western shawl cardigan. I got really excited when I found this because although I hardly ever pick up Lucky Brand, it was a men's cardigan. You guys know I have been on the hunt for that category for all of fall and winter. It was thicker. It was the shawl style collar, which again increases value, and it was this really nice Western print. And I was just like, man, this is going to be great. And then I looked it up, and then I was like, the sell-through rate's actually terrible. But I don't know, just trusted my gut on that one. I was like, you know what? Sell-through rate is low, but it's got all of the things it needs. Plus it was a size large. Went ahead and got it, added some what I think are really great keywords to it, listed it for $50, and it did sell for my full asking price the next day after getting listed it. The power of keywords, you guys, it's insane. And I can't believe I almost left this behind at the thrift store. I've been having a lot of pickups like that recently where I'm like, you guys know I'm very data driven, but ever since adding style-based sourcing, it's really helped me to better make those gut decisions. So I'm really thankful for Reseller's Edge for that, because it's really helped me to just feel more confident. So that sold for full asking price the next day after getting it listed. Next up, another novelty print sweater. I'm not familiar with this brand Max, but regardless, I would have picked up the sweater. Has that it factor to it, as we always talk about, and it's a pretty cool golf color block novelty print sweater. Listed this for $50, and it sold on an offer to watcher for $42. Now again, not every single sweater that has some kind of print on it is going to sell. It's got to be a very specific novelty print, oftentimes thick feeling vintage sweater. And it, like I say, has to have like an it factor. It's got to look like something you can't find just anywhere. So this one sold for an offer to watcher of $42, and this one only took 6 days to sell. Next up, this is a very, very popular men's brand right now, very high sell-through rate. I would probably pick up anything in this brand, including their collaborations. It is Todd Snyder, very high quality pieces. This is a men's terry cloth. It was called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Montauk short sleeve polo shirts, and this pre-owned polo shirt I listed for $50, which is crazy for a pre-owned polo. It sold for my full asking price of $50. This one did take a few months to sell. Next up, this is another kind of style-based / factor stacking pickup. This is the brand Gap, which I hardly ever get. However, I could tell that this was a very high quality feeling leather. It also had a Y2K label inside, and it was very Western and fringe. Just had, again, a lot of factors going for it, very trendy things and great materials. So I picked this up for about $5, listed it for $40, which is a completely made up price. And it sold for my full asking price of $40. This one, let's see here, it looks like it took about 5 days to sell. Another style-based dress, this is the brand Bob Mackie. I do like this brand, but I generally only get it in plus sizes. This is just a size 12. It's an older label, but it was silk. And again, it fits that dress aesthetic that a lot of people are looking for right now. Although it's not baby doll, it does have a cowl neck. It is silk, it's longer length, and it has those very whimsical colors to it, the purple and the pink. Very fairy, which we did include in our title. Listed this for $50. It did sell for our full asking price, and this one took a couple of months to sell. This one is pretty high sell-through rates, pretty good comps on Talbot's blazers, especially in larger sizes. It's like a pretty decent bread and butter thing to pick up. Again, trying to stick to the larger sizes, but they generally sell from $30 to $40. Sometimes I can push it till $50, but $40 is my sweet spot on these. So this is a Talbot's kind of tweed style blazer. Listed this for $40. It sold for our full asking price. However, this one did take several months to sell. Another men's cardigan, this is LL Bean, which is a fantastic brand just as a whole in the men's category, but especially if it is a vintage LL Bean men's cardigan. So great sell-through rates. Listed this one for $35. It did sell for my full asking price, and this one only took a few weeks to sell. This one, great style-based piece. I picked this up at the Benz. I have no idea what the brand name was because it's faded off, but it was a Y2K style metallic baby doll top. It even had purples and blacks to it, some jewels, just lots of, again, factors stacked on top of each other for a Y2K piece. I listed this for $40. There were some flaws with it, plus again, no branding. And it sold for full asking price, which is amazing. This one did take 2 months, looks like 2 months to sell, but very happy with a full price sale on an unbranded item. Again, if you want to learn about style-based pickups and feel more confident on it, we have tons of previous call replays and course videos on this in the group, so consider joining. Link is down below in the description. Another style base piece, vintage. This is Hollister Y2K baby doll sweater. Listed this one for $35 and it sold for our full asking price. This one sold the exact same day that we got it listed. Probably could have listed this slightly higher, to be honest. All right, next up, this one was a more longer tail item. I got this at the Benz. I just couldn't pass up Helmut Lang, which is a designer at the Benz. Plus it was a mohair blend. Kind of similarly to the beginning of this video where, I told you I got escandar. Most people would price it much higher. I priced it lower. Same thing with this Helmut Lang. I priced this one for $40 and it sold on an offer to watcher for $34. I probably paid 50 cents for this because it was so lightweight, and it did take a couple of months to sell, but really great for a Benz pickup. Again, if you're finding a designer piece and you're seeing that the sell-through rate's not good, really consider competitive pricing to get it to move, and you can still make great money. I mean, $35 is great. Another Y2K piece, this is Moda International. It is an Angora women's sweater dress. Again, just fits the style aesthetic. I listed this for $40. It sold on an offer to watcher. Looks like it's also a repeat buyer too. So I think my store is starting to get funneled like Y2K vintage traffic. So I think buyers are being probably funneled to my store because we are selling a ton of it. So it's cool to see repeat buyers. So listed this for $40, sold on an offer to watcher for $34, and this one only took a little over a week to sell. This one's another Benz pickup. This is something I rely on pretty much every year. It's Calvin Klein down items. It could be jackets or it could be vests, but in general, Calvin Klein down items sell very, very well for me. This is a packable down vest in a women's size large. I listed it for $35. It did sell for our full asking price. This one took 2.5 months to sell. This was another Benz pickup. This is a brand that is brand new to me. It is Marchella Moda. And I'm not 100% sure what the sell-through rate was on this at the time. I don't believe it was 100%, but I think I did notice that some of the pieces were performing well. And so I thought I had a piece that was one of the better ones. So this brand appears to be like a quiet luxury kind of capsule minimalist wardrobe. So I kind of leaned into that with our title. I listed this for $40. It ended up selling on an offer to watcher for $34. However, this one did take about 3 months to sell. Next up, you guys will probably recognize this from a recent thrift haul. I picked up a couple of these men's 2-for shirts, very Y2K with the long sleeve underneath the short sleeve. This is an Animal Planet one, Y2K. It listed this for $30. It sold for full asking price, and it only took about 5 days to sell. Another Y2K piece. This is a Benz piece. This was actually a pretty thrashed piece, I'm not going to lie, but because vintage and Abercrombie & Fitch and their Y2K stuff is so popular, I decided to take a risk on it at the Benz. It also had barely any branding. It was just right here on the sleeve, tons of fading, lots of stuff going on. But again, huge following. I listed this for $30. It sold within a couple of months for an offer to watcher of $25. I definitely don't consider this like high ASP by any means, but it is something that a lot of people are passing on. And so if you can make 25, 30, 40 bucks on, style-based pieces that everyone is passing on, I definitely think that it's worth it. It makes sourcing a lot easier to know what to pick up that everyone else is leaving behind versus constantly trying to compete for the same products that everybody else is. Next up, this is a newer brand to me, A7 Strongwear. This is a men's brand. They make athletic apparel. This was a powerlifting shirt with the logo. I listed this for $25. It sold on an offer to watcher for $21. This one did take several months to sell. I think had I priced it closer to $20 to begin with, it definitely would have sold quicker. But pretty decent sell-through rate on this brand, and one I'm going to be keeping my eye out for. This was another style-based sale. We have been selling a ton of these, and I find them all the time too. Simply Vera Wang velvet burnout tops. Like pretty much any of them at this point I can flip for $25. It's been a wild ride. I would have never thought in a million years I'd be picking up Simply Vera Wang and looking for these velvet tops, but they're very easy to find and they flip very quickly for around the $25 mark. Of course, you want to include great keywords to get the right buyer to them, but it's been working really well for us, and really any brand that looks like this. Listed this for $25 and it sold for our full asking price. This one only took a couple of months to sell. And again, I'll just reiterate, just because I sold Simply Vera Wang does not mean you should go out and buy every Simply Vera Wang piece, because it's a very specific style. Plus, it's not that you can just pick up items that look like this. You have to know what keywords to use in your title to get them to the right buyer. Like the item is just the item, the title is the vehicle to the right buyer. Next up, another style-based piece, not a brand I'm familiar with, but just screamed very like boho cottage core, and also darker colored, plus sheer open knits. Very trendy right now, very unique piece. I listed this one for $28, and it sold for my full asking price. I listed this one a little bit higher, even though it was a no-name brand, because the style was a little bit more unique and very on trend. This one only took a couple of weeks to sell. All right, finishing up with some of the Poshmark sales, because I did have, although smaller sales, I had great average sale prices on those. This is a North Face backpack, and backpacks in general, anytime I see a backpack, I look it up at a thrift store, especially if it's in a well-known brand like North Face. This one did have some wear throughout, so we priced it accordingly, and we sold it for $27. Backpacks, even though they are larger, are very easy to list, photograph, and also to ship because they fold down. Next up, this is a J. Crew collaboration with Baird McNutt Irish Linen. Anytime I see Baird McNutt, I pick it up. And as we move closer to spring and summer, you'll see this collaboration with pretty much anything. Anybody that uses Baird McNutt, the sell-through rate and ASP is going to increase the closer we get to warmer weather, but it is pretty cool that it's also selling right now in the dead of winter. Had this listed for $35. It sold on my Posherva automatic offers. That it sends out to buyers after they watch an item after 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, it sends out an offer to my likers, to my watchers. So I had this listed for $35, but it sold for close to $30 because of that. That's why I love Posherva, because you can capture sales so close to when the buyer is actually interested in the item. This next one is a pair of Y2K boots. These are a pair of Coach shoes. Now, most Coach shoes do not do well, but I have noticed that their boots perform well. And this is a definite Y2K style pickup. We've got the leather mixed with the fur, and these ended up selling for $60. This I thought was a pretty interesting sale, because this actually sells for more than some of like my Lululemon t-shirts. Which is pretty interesting. So I always pay attention to those things, because, smaller things like scarves, belts, suspenders, jewelry, wallets, things like that. Things that are small that you wouldn't think would sell, accessories that sell for more than even a pair of jeans sometimes, I think is pretty amazing. So I love picking stuff up like that. This is an Anthropology honestly pretty plain houndstooth scarf. I think the fact that we included some great keywords is what helped this to sell for our full price of $30. This is another fantastic high sell-through rate brand to look for in the men's department. It definitely depends on the style and size as to how much you're going to get and how quickly it'll sell for, just like anything. But in general, Howler Bros is a very good one to look for. This is one of their gaucho pearl snap shirts with a snake embroidery. And this ended up selling on an offer for $61. Here is a Figs item. Most Figs does not sell for this much. However, this was a very specific piece. I really like looking up the exact style name and color of each Figs piece because it can make a huge difference. So it's the difference between listing something for $25 or $40. This one was the Katarina long sleeve scrub top, and it was also a size large in excellent condition. We listed this for $45 and it ended up selling for $38. Next up, this is Everling. You guys might have seen this in a recent thrift with me or thrift haul. I can't remember. But these are a pair of the Everling glove boots is what they call them. The category as a whole, or the style as a whole, is called like a sock boot. So I made sure to include that in the title as well. Sock boots during fall and winter are very trendy. They're kind of like a stretch knit material that you pull on. A lot of brands make these, and anytime I see a sock boot, I always look it up. Zara, for instance, not a brand I normally pick up. However, in their sock boots, I can sell those pretty frequently for about $40. Everling makes much, much higher quality than Zara, and these ended up selling for $60. Another vintage piece. This is Vintage Fruit of the Loom. This was just a really cool all over giraffe graphic shirt. Had this listed for $40. It sold on an offer to Watcher for $32. And lastly, another high sell-through rate men's brand. You're not going to get much for this brand if it's just a t-shirt. If it's anything else, you might sell it for, more. But generally the t-shirts are only going for about $25. This is Buck Mason, but it is a very high sell-through rate brand, so keep your eye out for it. This pretty plain t-shirt we ended up selling on an offer for $21. All right, guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already, consider subscribing down below and hitting that notification bell. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Want to grow your online business but have doubts about how to get there? We built Reseller's Edge for sellers just like you. Reseller's Edge is an online mentorship group that myself and 3 other coaches created to help sellers in the reseller community grow their business with proven strategies that work. Inside the group, we share our knowledge that we learned while growing our own businesses from 0 to 6 figures. No matter what area of your business you need help in, we have got you covered with hundreds of educational videos and calls. Topics range from sourcing to listing to strategies to bolos to timing and efficiencies. And the business side of reselling with a huge focus on net profit, what you're actually taking home. So whether you're just trying to maximize your side hustle or you want to take your business to the next level, we are here to help you reach your goals. Check out resellersedgeuniversity.com today and start growing your reselling empire.